And let's talk more about this with Fox News contributor and former senior advisor for George W. Bush, Karl Rove. Karl, good morning.
Good morning. Incidentally, I'm normally the most culturally unconnected person in the room, but with a panel consisting of people who have never seen Star Wars or Star Trek, I feel like I'm just clued into the popular culture. It's unbelievable.
I think we just feel intimidated by it because there's so many of them. You got to catch up. But thanks for calling us out on it. And the hate tweets come back in, Karl. Okay, so would you make the argument that the Treasury Secretary is safe as long as the markets go back up? Does his success in the president's eyes depend on the direction of the stock market at this point?
Well, I hope not, because Treasury Secretaries don't control the markets. And the president seems to have a very good relationship with Mnuchin. They've known each other a long time. I think whether the market goes up or down is not going to be the thing that's going to determine the fate of the Treasury Secretary.
What's controlling the market right now, though?
Well, look, I'm not a market expert, but it strikes me that there's never one thing. We're sort of like Curly in the movie City Slickers, what's the one thing? But there's not one thing. Sure, we've got a concern about interest rates, but also there are concerns about slower growth next year. We've had a good year of growth. Next year's going to be good, but not as good. Worried that they sort of what the tax cut had done to invigorate the economy might be wearing off. Consumer confidence lowest in a year. Small business confidence lowest in 2 years. Concerns about corporate profits next year being smaller and margins being smaller. Long bull market, shutdown, divided government, Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, Interior Secretary all have to be replaced. All of these concerns domestically are there. And then you add the global economy slowing down. China retail sales lowest in 15 years. Trade volumes declining. German factories slowing down. Trade war, tariffs. I mean, there's lots of things out there that would cause the markets to go either up or down. I think it's hard to pick just one. That
was a laundry list. I'm not sure if you mentioned government shutdown. If you did or didn't, we are in day 5 of that. We're less than 1 week from the new year and a new Congress coming in shortly after that. Look, still no end in sight. The only thing standing in the way of compromise is this border funding. President Trump called out the Dems yesterday for their opposition to the wall. Listen.
The only one that doesn't want the wall are the Democrats, because they don't mind open borders, but open borders mean massive amounts of crime. Let's use the word almost everyone. Approved, a wall, or a fence, or exactly what we're talking about, as little as 3 years ago. But over the years, every one of them, the only time they went against it, there was only one time when Donald Trump said we want to build the wall. As soon as I said I want to build the wall, they were all against it.
Karl, what is the path forward here?
I'm not certain there is a path forward. The Democrats can wait this out until the 3rd of January, in which that restarts the legislative clock, and the bill that was passed by Republican Congress, Republican House of Representatives, is not going to get passed by Democratic House of Representatives, so there's going to be no wall funding from the House. So, look, I think the president is right. There's a lot of hypocrisy out here. I was there in the White House in 2005 when Senator Obama, Senator Clinton, Senator Schumer, Senator Feinstein, a total of 80 Republicans and Democrats to 19 voted for the Secure Fence Act, which authorizes the construction of 700 miles of fence, barrier, and wall. Now, we have about 650 miles of fence border, of fence and wall along the border. Chuck Schumer, the president's right. As recently as 3 years ago, the Democrats voted for a budget that included money for the wall. So we got a $4.407 billion federal budget this year. We're talking about the difference between $5 billion that the president wants and $1.6 billion that the Democrats offered in their first offer. They've now reduced it to 1.3 and then to 0. But we're talking about the difference of basically $3.4 billion out of a $4.407 billion budget. Please, can't reasonable people find a way to get to yes?
Do you think, Karl, that Nancy Pelosi becomes more willing to compromise, to negotiate for real when she actually does retake the gavel and become Speaker of the House? Because now she's getting a lot of pressure from the newer members that are coming into the House of Representatives, and they want open borders.
Yeah, look, I think it's very much an open question. Both parties are playing to their base. The president is playing to his base by saying, I need to have $5 billion to build the wall that I promised in the campaign. And the Democrats in Congress are saying zero for the wall now because they're playing to their base, which is the hard left of the Democratic Party that was invigorated in the last election. I don't think either party serves itself well by having such a narrow strategy. Both parties would be better off if they found a way to compromise on this issue and move on to bigger and more important things.
Yeah, very much agreed, Carl. This is Dr. Mike here. You take a look at Trump's aggressive rhetoric, especially on Twitter, on social media. He wants this wall built. He's very aggressive. He calls out the crime, all of these statistics. Do you think part of that aggressive rhetoric has worked against him in getting this wall done? Because you said 3 years ago this was a possibility, and all of a sudden there's tremendous pushback.
Yeah, look, this is legislation. That's like sausage making, and I think the president made a mistake in having an open sausage making session in front of the cameras with Pelosi and Schumer in the room. Once you have that kind of a conversation, and particularly when you say in public, I'm willing to take the blame for the wall, they're going to give you. Excuse me, I'm going to take the blame for the shutdown. They're going to give you a shutdown if you're willing, if you're on the record saying shutdown. Sometimes it's better to try and find a way to get these things done in private. Chuck, Nancy, I'd like to get funding for the wall. I know you don't want it. What can I give you as a victory so we can both walk away from this with something that we said we got out of it?
So what is that
neither
sweetener,
one of us can
Carl?
be happy.
What can he give them to make this a home run and really seal the deal for 2020 for Republicans?
Well, look, DACA.
Yeah.
But the president a year ago seemingly agreed to a solution for the people who were here, brought here as children or young people who are here illegally, but were brought here by their parents or by their families. They find a way to resolve that. I don't know what it is, but the way to find out is not to have it a publicly televised session. It's to sit there in the Oval Office and say, I know where you're coming from. You need to have something that you need to walk away with. What's important to you in order to give me what's important to me, or most of what I want, and I'll give you most of what you want. That's the way the process ought to work, and the president can set the tone. But unfortunately, I think that televised meeting gave a gigantic weapon to the Democrats, made it difficult for them to negotiate, and gave them a gigantic weapon in the form of the president on video saying, I'll take the blame for any shutdown.
How long does this last?
Going to last until, in my opinion, the 3rd of January when the Democrats take control of the House, the legislative clock, the new session of Congress. So any legislation that has been passed by either House this year suddenly becomes moot because you have a new Congress and you have to start all over again. And at that point, the Democrats have the House. No bill is going to come out of the House with funding for the wall in it.
And thousands of workers, federal workers, working without pay. And the Wall Street Journal says this morning that the president says they're happy to do that for the sake of border security and a wall.
Well, there are 800,000 federal workers not getting paid, but I suspect some in the Department of Homeland Security are strongly in favor of the wall. They know it's effective in certain places of the border.
Karl Rove, thank you very much.